what does home really mean? Home is not just a building. Home is where your nervous system learns, am I safe? Am I wanted? Do my emotions matter? For a child, home becomes the blueprint for life. If home was warm, predictable, and loving, the child learns, the world is safe, I am safe. But if home was loud, violent, emotionally cold, manipulative, neglectful, unpredictable, the child learns something else. I must stay alert. I must adapt. I must survive. And here is a painful truth society avoids. You can have a roof, food, and clothes and still grow up traumatized. Trauma is not only what happened. Trauma is what should have happened but never did. No protection, no comfort, no emotional safety. There is a sentence we hear everywhere. Home is where the heart is. Home is your safe place. Home is love. But what if home was never safe? What if the place you were supposed to rest was a place you learned fear? What if the people who were supposed to protect you were the ones who hurt you? Today, we are talking about a trauma society avoids, a trauma people minimize, a trauma many survivors still feel guilty for naming. Because when home is not safe, the wounds don't just stay in childhood. They follow you into adulthood, into relationships, into your nervous system, into how you love, trust, and survive. This is the trauma society refuses to talk about. And if this video finds you, it's not by accident. Now let's talk about the homes people don't like to name as abusive. Emotional unsafe homes. These are homes where you were constantly criticized, your feelings were dismissed, love was conditional, silence was used as punishment. You see, no bruises, no police reports, but deep emotional wounds, where you learned that I am too much, my emotions are a problem, and love must be earned. We also have homes with chronic conflict, and these are homes where parents fought every day. There was shouting, threats, chaos, and you never knew what mood to expect. So you became hyper-aware, a peacemaker, and emotionally exhausted before adulthood. And therefore you learned, peace is temporary. I must stay alert, and calm never lasts. We also have homes with absent caregivers. Some parents were physically present but emotionally absent. They provided school fees, food, and shelter, but not warmth, attunement, and emotional availability. So you stopped asking, you stopped needing, you learned independence too early. You learned, I can only rely on myself. And we also have homes with control, fear, or violence. These are homes where fear was normal, control was disguised as discipline, and love came with threats. You learned obedience, not safety, silence, and not trust. And society says, but they are your parents anyway. And do you know why society refuses to talk about this? Society avoids this conversation because it's uncomfortable, because it challenges sacred ideas like family is everything, parents always want the best, and blood is thicker than water. So survivors are told, forgive and forget. Others had it worse, and that's just how parents are. But here is the truth. Minimizing trauma does not heal it, it deepens it. And many cultures, especially ours, glorify endurance over healing. We praise survival but shame vulnerability. So people grow up wounded, silent, and self-blaming. And do you know how unsafe homes shape adult life? This trauma doesn't disappear with age. It shows up as relationship struggles, with fear of intimacy, attraction to emotionally unavailable or abusive partners, and staying too long in unhealthy relationships because chaos feels familiar. We also have emotional dysregulation. overreacting or shutting down, difficulty identifying feelings, constant inattention, and your nervous system never learned safety. You see, people pleasing and self-abandonment, whereby saying yes when you mean no, ignoring your needs, and living for others' approval because survival once depended on it. You also experience shame and self-blame, whereby feeling broken, feeling unworthy, and feeling like the problem, even when you were just a child trying to survive. But the grief no one talks about? This is the grief that is deeper than loss. It's the grief of the childhood you never had, the safety you never knew, and the love you deserved but didn't receive. And many survivors feel guilty for grieving, but healing requires mourning. But you're not weak for feeling this pain. You are honest, and honesty is where healing begins. Healing does not mean pretending it didn't hurt. Healing means naming the truth, validating your experience, learning safety now, and you get to build a new definition of home, create boundaries, choose relationships that feel calm and not chaotic. Healing is not linear, but it is possible. Even if your first home failed you, you can still create a life rooted in safety. If home was not safe for you, I want you to hear this. It was not your fault. You were not too sensitive. You were not difficult. You were a child who needed safety, and you still deserve it. If this video spoke to you, you are not alone. This is Healing Hugs, a space where truth is spoken gently and pain is met with compassion. Take a deep breath. You survived, and now you get to heal. Like, share, or comment if this resonated. Your story matters.